inspired the American people. He spoke up about the American people. He believed in freedom. I believe if Americans take that mantra and speak to their co-workers, to their friends, to their families, to people in their church, and stop looking down on your country or feeling bad that you've been so successful, and speak it up with pride and be proud of your history, I think you can recover everything that you've lost and start off.
You know, you're singing my song in one sense, in the sense that I have constantly told people they have much more influence over people just by living their lives than they possibly will ever even know. But you're hitting on something, and I want to ask you, if I maybe am interpreting you incorrectly, but you said you're responding to the guy that sent me the email, and it sounds to me like what you're saying is, hey guys, stop waiting on somebody else to do it and join the crowd and try to help make change yourself.
Exactly. That's because this is what America was founded on, individualism. You know, you have to get rid of this collective mindset that's, you know, because Barack Obama is great for, you know, you have to fit into a certain criteria, and you can only do things together and for the common goods. You know what? Even look at people like, because I heard you talking about Apple. If Steve Jobs thought, you know what, when he was setting back up in the 70s, I could never do the iPad or the iPod as an individual, he would never have been successful, but he didn't. He kept on pushing forward, and with the free market, he achieved so many great things, but everybody can do it. This country put a man on the moon. Are you telling me that individuals, by speaking out, by not obviously the average American has other stuff. I'm involved in politics 24/7, so they can't do that. They work and they have family and they have friends. But if they can talk about freedom and just forget about, like I was watching C-SPAN at the weekend and everybody was defending the wiretap, saying, well, George Bush started it. It doesn't matter who started it or who continues it. It's about whether it's right or wrong. It's not about Democrats, Republicans, or Conservatives. It's about the American people. They're first and foremost, and that's what needs to be discussed. And also, America is short on ideas. Those ideas will come from the people. If you leave it up to Washington to come up with the ideas for the future,
look,
you're going to be in a shortage.
John, you're hitting on a number of things here. One of the themes that you're talking about is individualism, rugged individualism, I call it. This is one of the aspects of life in America today that has so many people frustrated that people are willing to throw away their individuality in exchange for being accepted by some community, whatever community it is, not just the town, but the group of people, like-minded thinkers, conformists. Americans, way too many of them, are way too interested in conformity and what people think of them and getting along and letting Washington make decisions for them. Trading, the old adage about trading a little freedom for security here, trading some there. The individual is under assault in this country as a selfish, mean-spirited, you fill in the blank. And so there's a ignorance is rewarded, conformity is rewarded, and they're just that. I think that's a great point of frustration that many people that you're talking about sense and think in this country, that way too many others are just blindly accepting of what's happening without being concerned about it in any way, shape, manner, or form.
I agree, but also there's a fact that, like when you see people who are on benefits, a lot of it's to do with the Republican Party, and there's a lack of ideas, but they've lost the message of freedom. They lost belief in it somewhere along the lines. Like you look at the Democrats and you go, okay, so you get a certain amount of money off the government for your Obamacare and your Obama phone and whatever other benefits, and let's say it's $1,000 a month. And that's in your left hand. And the Republicans seem to see, well, we used to talk about freedom and liberty and individual and free market in our right hand. All of a sudden, it's like, well, because that $1,000 is tangible and you can touch it and you can do things with it, that's better and we need to compete on that ground. You don't. Freedom is priceless. It's not something like...
Well, you know what else? Let me tell you what else freedom is. In America today, freedom is a tough sell. And you know why it's a tough sell? Because part and parcel of it is accepting personal responsibility. We have some we have some real cultural problems. The way you're speaking the way people spoke in this country as recently as 30, 40 years ago. Today, the way you're speaking about America gets laughed at by a lot of people in different parts of this country. You're talking about freedom and the founders and liberty. Nobody thinks their freedom's up for grabs. Nobody thinks their liberty is being lost. Not nobody. A lot of people don't think any of this is at risk. They think people trying to warn them of it are a bunch of extremist, conspiratorial kooks. That's what we're up against. Is that you're speaking like you have roots to our founders. You have a greater attachment to the founding of this country than I can't tell you how many millions of people who were born here who don't know half as much about it as you do. But you're right. I'm just observing for you. I'm trying to tell you what people like you and the rest of us are up against in trying to reestablish this country as the constitutional republic it was founded, because it is up for grabs right now. You're great, John. I'm glad that you got through. Thanks so much. We'll be back.